All right, so then I will formally call the case of People versus Davidson once again. Mr. Davidson is charged with the charge of first-degree murder, and he has entered a plea of not guilty to that. That is the issue before the court today, and if the people are ready to make an opening statement, please go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. May it please the court. He saw his chance, and he took it. On September 14th, 2017, Acorn, California was the site of a political rally. At this rally, the defendant, Casey Davidson, and his longtime rival, Alex Thompson, met face to face. True to form, the two fought. This fight, however, was interrupted when Mr. Thompson was punched in the face, causing him to leave the rally. The defendant saw this and followed. He saw his chance and he took it. The defendant caught up to Mr. Thompson and the two fought once again. This time the defendant raised up his walking stick and struck Mr. Thompson in the head. Then he did it again. These two blows crushed Mr. Thompson's skull and killed him. The people have charged the defendant with the first-degree murder of Alex Thompson in violation of California Penal Code Section 189. To meet our burden, we must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant killed Mr. Thompson and that he did so willfully, deliberately, and with premeditation. Morgan Bonderman, a friend of Mr. Thompson's, will testify to the pattern of violence between the defendant and Mr. Thompson. A pattern that led to Mr. Bonderman finding his friend's body. The court will then hear from Detective Adrienne Carroll, who will describe her investigation. She will testify that she recovered clothing from the defendant's home covered in Mr. Thompson's blood. She will also tell the court about death threats that were found on Mr. Thompson's social media page. Death threats that were posted by the defendant. Hayden Rodriguez, a local reporter, will tell the court about a fight that he saw just moments before Mr. Thompson died between the defendant and Mr. Thompson. The court will hear that the defendant said, "Here's my chance," before following Mr. Thompson. Finally, Acorn's medical examiner, Devin Morrison, will testify. She will tell the court that the weapon that was used to kill Mr. Thompson was a walking stick. A walking stick that belonged to the defendant. On September 14th, 2017, the defendant struck Mr. Thompson in the head with his walking stick and killed him. He saw his chance and he took it. At the end of today's trial, we will ask that you find him guilty as charged. Thank you.
Defense wish to make an opening statement at this time or reserve it?
We will give our opening statement at this time. May I proceed?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Once again, my name is Marco Pizzini, representing Casey Davidson. Chaos. Today, the prosecution will try to make sense of the chaos surrounding the September 14th rally. But there are simply too many suspects, too many unanswered questions, and too much reasonable doubt about who killed Alex Thompson, when, with what, and why. At the rally, the police knew there was a potential for violence, so they set up a blockade to prevent clashes between the two extremist groups. Alex Thompson decided to cross this police line and begin throwing eggs at the people attending on the Equality for All side. This enraged many of the hundreds of people on the assaulted side so much that at one point, Alex Thompson was sucker punched in the face by an unknown assailant. Unfortunately, Casey Davidson was standing next to Thompson when the punch came out of nowhere, and he was covered in the blood that gushed out of both of Thompson's nose. Blood that spattered all over the scene, leaving this case awash with reasonable doubt. The defense will call 4 witnesses here today. First, Fabian Moreno, an acquaintance of the defendant, will explain that he saw Casey Davidson from around 9:50 to 10:05 near City Hall, nowhere near the scene of the murder. Next, Avery Williams, the owner of Acorn Tech Shop, will explain that Alex Thompson harassed him during all of their encounters, and that Casey Davidson was in Acorn Tech Shop from around 10:10 to 10:12. Third, Dr. Tori Lee, a forensic expert, will explain that the blood on Davidson's clothes and walking stick very likely came from Thompson's bloody nose, that Casey Davidson's walking stick may not have been the murder weapon, that there were fingerprints on the walking stick not belonging to Davidson, and that the time of death may have been a little after 10:04, showing that anyone at the rally could have killed Thompson. Finally, my client, Casey Davidson, will explain that he was at the rally in order to protest O'Kennedy peacefully, and that although he did not like Alex Thompson, he did not do what he is accused of, and was in no position to do this because he was nowhere near the scene of the crime. Your Honor, this case is simply too chaotic for anyone to be proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. The defense will show that my client, Casey Davidson, is not the murderous, scheming, bitter villain that the prosecution will try to paint him as. Casey Davidson strongly believes in his values, but in no situation would he kill for them. You will see that Alex Thompson could have been killed by anyone at the rally due to the chaos surrounding the event, and there is reasonable doubt as to Davidson's guilt, and therefore, because there is reasonable doubt, the court must find my client, Casey Davidson, not guilty. Thank you.